Alright, this is gonna be a continuation of how I'm over here talking. When I hit the record button, it said 14 minutes and some seconds, some odd seconds. I'm thinking that's just something else. The whole time, that was how much time I had to record. I get up, I'm thinking I get everything done. I got on blank screen, like the blank man almost. It's like, man, that's some bull. Well, anyway, so I gotta redo this. And it's how part two. I'm gonna continue off where I left off. I'm gonna try to cover everything that I covered after that, where the part left off. Um, but like I was saying, the one time I ended up going back to the club, it happened. The situation that I was trying to avoid actually happened. Individual started tripping, got wild, did some wild stuff. You feel me? And like I was saying, man, I'm from the street, so when Slim reacted the way he reacted, I more so was on point and knew he was trying to go get a firearm. Knew he was trying to go get a gun. So I've been to enough clubs and been through a whole lot of scenarios, situations like this, similar, worse, all types of stuff. So I'm like, bro, you good. You ain't you good. We out here chilling, man. We trying to go have fun. We trying to party like you just got finished partying. We ain't even out here for the foolishness, man. So I said, man, I don't even do it. So I'm telling him because I already know what he's trying to do. He know I know what he's trying to do. So um, long story short, like I was saying, the situation with the female, it did happen, but it didn't happen the way they tried to say it. He actually jumped out there way before then. So by the time I put two and two together, I was looking for the female because I had looked over. So I'm thinking she about to get in the car. She ended up going like two cars down, three cars down. So I'm like, dang, what's she doing? So in my mind, I'm like, what the hell is she doing? So then my man, I'm looking at my man's looking at me, and I'm like, hold up, what's going on? So because it was three of them, I'm looking at my other man though, because my other man, he's talking to Slim now. So I go to see what I'm like, I go in the front of the car, she's in the back of the car, so I go in the front. And I'm like, well, with my man, and I'm like, dang. So I peep, I'm like, oh, dang, she about to take a piss. Understandably, it happens, things like that happen. But I'm more so on the tip, like once I figured out that she was trying to piss, because my man was in different, my man trying to figure out what she doing. It ain't, according to their statement, they try to make it look like we was on some wild stuff, man. We was all that, man. No, she ain't about to piss out this junk. You know, we in shock. Like, I'm shocked, and I know, I'm like, hold up, I know she ain't about to piss. So when I saw her go to pull her pants down to piss, I said, oh, dang, she about to piss. So I said, I tapped my mouth, I was like, man, move up some. So he can get on the other side of the car where you can't really see it, so you can't see it. So by that time, my man and Slim get to talking louder, so I go see what's up with them. Next thing you know, Slim on some old trying to hurry up and get his car door open. Excuse me, car door open. I'm trying to say car door and something else at the same time. But he tried to get the car door open, so I was like, bro, don't even do it, don't even do it. I said, he was like, he was saying all this other stuff, so I was like, bro, we out here chilling, we just trying to go party, son. That's all we trying to do. And by the time I turned around, the female, she came back from pissing around the car. And before I get into any more detail, though, we just gonna say Slim ended up getting this jump out of the car because I got caught off guard. But I'm gonna break into more detail because that's gonna be later on. I'm gonna explain everything in my PSI report, because the PSI report is what they're supposed to do, give you after you plead guilty, and they're supposed to go through your background and all that type of stuff to so they say, like, according to the Georgetown Law Journal, is not to get you to admit any type of guilt or anything, but to go off your background so they can see do the time that they're giving you, is it matching, the crime and all this other type stuff, but they use it as a strategic way of trying to get a confession out of people, and that's what they thought they was going to do with me. They thought I was going to say I did something that I didn't do, or my man or somebody else did something, to support their false information. Because what they're doing now is they're using the PSI, they lie, and they continue to lie, and then once you plead guilty, they make it look like the information they provided was false and that was lies, was actually true, and that's why you plead guilty when it's not the truth. You feel me? And so when I did the PSI, I broke down the whole situation. I broke down everything that happened, but I didn't say who shot him. I said, boom, boom, this what happened, and that's when he got shot. And they got pissed off. Slim, the state's attorney, was hot. My so-called lawyer was hot. They wanted me to say whatever they thought I was going to say, or whatever they thought they was going to make me say, and to validate the plea. Because you got to understand, when some people take them Jones in fear of losing the plea deal, like say if they going to give you a deal with a plea, like my plea was, the plea they tried to give me was 5 to 10 years, but they claimed I was only going to do 5 years for that, because and that was mandatory because of the handgun. So what you call it? So in fear of you losing out on a plea deal and getting more time, you would just accept whatever they say, and you would accept the plea and never say nothing else about it, because that will allow them to have the upper hand of making it look like everything they said was true, and you're not going to contest it because you don't want to lose the benefit of the plea deal. So that's an evil angle that they take, and they've been manipulating that angle for many years, and cheating people and lying on people and all that type of stuff. And then after you take the plea, they make it look like, if you do, when they give you a lot of time like they did me, they make it look like, oh, you just saying that because you didn't get the deal you thought you was gonna get, or so on and so forth. It's always a strategy with it. But part of the plea deal was an alpha plea, and the reason they made it an alpha plea was because they were trying to say that this is the coercion tactic. Okay, you don't want to take the plea because it is not. We'll just take the alpha plea. You don't have to admit guilt, but the state's attorney has the state has enough information against you to prove that you're guilty. To make it look like you're guilty, they got more information against you. So therefore, if you take the alpha plea, you don't have to admit guilt. You just admit the state has enough information that if it go to trial, you may be found guilty. And I knew the state didn't have enough information against me, but I knew they had enough lies against me. However, like I said, once again, in order to prove that they was working together and they would set me up, I had to go through that process, because I already proved that I wasn't taking a plea and that I was going to trial. How is you going to give me a plea deal? Why am I going to court for that's set up for a plea deal when I say I'm not taking a plea? How does that work? If I say I'm not taking a plea, why ain't I at trial? Why ain't I my motions for my trial? Why is it a plea deal? So when I told them I wasn't taking a plea when I got in court, they closed the courtroom down and told me to get out. They put me in a bullpen jump and made me wait, talking about they got to go get the witnesses and all this. Sam, you're supposed to have all that ready for a hearing. Why did you want to have this? Who told you I was going to take a plea? Why is you setting this up? So once again, proving that these people are organizing criminal acts against our people and playing like they're innocently doing stuff, or that we just making stuff up, and the whole time they're organizing these criminal acts against us using the legal system. So once I got through with all that, I ended up taking a plea. So I did the PSI, and they got mad, and they tried to say that because I wouldn't admit guilt, one of the factors of giving me more time, the state attorney said I should be given more time than 5 to 10 years, because they go outside my guidelines because of 5 to 10 years, because I didn't admit guilt. But if I took an alpha plea that says I don't have to admit guilt, but you telling them that should be a reason why I should get more time, you just contradicted your own plea deal. So that's a breach of a plea agreement. So right there, all these flags was popping up, and the judge still allowed me to take a plea, still allowed me to plead guilty, still allowed them to give me more time, or lie about the time, because at first it was just 5 to 10 years. Then when I got in there, and they started doing everything, it was because when I was in there and they was lying and messing up and doing all the wild stuff, they were saying, oh, it's just 5 to 10 years, 5 years at the most we won't. Then when I finally was convinced that they would set me up, and I was like, matter of fact, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to write the judge. And that's what I did. I took the plea, and it supposed to be 5 years. But 5 to 10 was the guidelines. The 10 was years, it was the most. So I took the plea, and I was going to write the judge and explain myself, and let him know why I wasn't trying to take the plea, because I was being coerced. And the judge played it off. He said, oh, well, don't worry about it. You just come in, and when we had the sentencing, he ain't say, well, why do you feel coerced? He already was in on the jump. He already knew. And when I went in there, I said something to the judge just to prove, and I said something. He said, oh, well, that changed my mind. And I said, yeah, I bet it did, because I read wise words can change. Wise words can do away with wrath. You feel me? And he already was plotting against me. So when I said that, he said, oh, but that changed my mind. He already plotting on trying to wild me out for that lady. For all of them was working together. So I was like, man, because the lawyer, this was even wilder. The lawyer claims she changed my judge from the judge that was to Judge Martin, Lonzel Martin Jr., because he was more lenient. But how much time they give me? My guidelines were 5 to 10. He was supposed to stay within the guidelines. You brought him down. They said the cap of 30 years after the fact, after the plea was being in motion. Then they added a cap of 30 years later on. So why would I take a cap of 30-year plea when you could potentially give me 30 years when I just denied a plea deal, when I refused to accept the plea deal for 30 years? So you just worked the whole snake situation for, oh no, I just pleaded 5 to 10, but we're really going to give him way more. And then he tried to say, well, he gave me 25 years. He gave me 45 years, 25 for a first-degree assault, 20 years max for the use of a handgun and commission of a crime of violence. The total was 45 years. But he suspended all but 20 years. So I was left with 20 years to do day for day. And then you got the good time and all that stuff. But he was like, they didn't go over my guidelines because my guidelines was 5 to 10. But he suspended 20, and then it still stayed under the cap of 30. But no, you never had a cap of 30 on it, for one. That was never said until after you started hearing, and then you tried to add that in the last minute. You and the state's attorney and the lawyer, because y'all set me up. So, and the lawyer was already hacked because I tried to fire her because she wouldn't do her job, and she wouldn't defend me or provide information. Every time I gave her information about my indictments and all that, and that's what I'm going to break down in here on the next jump. It's going to break down how I was arguing my, they have 30 days to charge you, officially charge you. They have a certain amount of time. Then they start your speedy trial rights, your Hicks date and all that. I was addressing all that stuff, and they start filing. My June, the indictment in June ain't even come until I start raising issues about being charged wrongfully and them violating my rights, speedy trial rights, and 30 days deadline and all that type of stuff. So they was very vicious, and then they gave me all that time. So I'm like, how is he more lenient when you just worked the whole situation out to give me way more than what you were supposed to? And then they said I was going to go to Patuxent, and it was a youth program. So no matter how much time I got, I was only going to do 2 years if I stayed out of trouble. I stayed out of trouble, ended up doing 13 and a half. I didn't even get into a situation until like 9 years into my bit, and they found a phone outside my window in a wall. And I was like, Slim, y'all just moved me in the cell. So how can you even say that's my phone? I only been in there about a week and a half, 2 weeks, or something like that. So they was like, I was like, so I'm supposed to know how to search out the window and all that. I said, bro. So he was like, man. He said it was in reaching distance. I said, well, if I don't know to look out there, how is that my fault? He said, I said, man. He said, well, it was reaching. I said, bro, you got me on that because I can't argue against it's in reaching distance. However, you can't prove that I had up for knowledge that was mine in the first place, or if anybody put it in there before I got in there, and then later on somebody gave me a hint. They was like, yeah, we kind of know that it wasn't yours, or that you really ain't know nothing about it, or whatever the case may be. Because most phones, when they hitting like that and we find them, it comes right on. That phone didn't come right on, so I had to be sitting there for a while, because even when the phone go dead, if it sit for a little while, you can still hit the button and the jump will try to come on, but then cut back off. But if it been sit for a long time, it never come on because all the charges depleted from the jump. So I already know. So they already was like, man, look, man, that jump looking fishy. It looked like a setup, all this other type of stuff. But anyway, so I was just like, man, forget it. But that was the only situation I was in. And I ended up going lock up and losing a level for that. But other than that, I supposed to been home way before that. So that's irrelevant, really. But the situations just kept happening. So when they did that, I still ended up staying in prison way longer than I was supposed to, way more than 5 years. When I went back on my 5-year for modification reduction of sentence, the judge tried to say that he would have took my time back, but he can't because my lawyer waived my right. So I never breached a contract, never breached a plea agreement. How are you gonna waive my right that you granted me this right based upon a plea deal? You said I got a right to reconsideration. That's part of the plea deal. But now you saying my lawyer waived my right. How is my lawyer, who's supposed to be defending my rights to these type things, waiving my right? That's stupid. So it just shows you the premeditated bullcrap that they do in these courtrooms and in their communities, man, against our people. You feel me? So when I'm going through all that, it was just a whole lot going on. And then once you read, I never took a plea until November 17th or something like that, because when I read all my motions documents and all that, I was supposed to actually go to trial on the 21st, November 21st, something like that, because they was violating my hex date. So they tried to push it forward and make me take the plea before that 180 days was all the way up. But when you read the Capitol Heights family filed suit against county police, when you read that document that I put up there, it shows that on March 17th, 2001, Darnell Jr. was tried and charged with second-degree assault and sentenced to 25 years in prison. So how can I be tried and charged on March 17, 2001 when y'all locked me up in April? So who wrote this article? What's this article about? And that's propaganda. It's manipulation. It goes back to the control group and psychological warfare. They tried to make it look like they already had me. They were already trying to convict me anyway on false information. But they figure your family, they gather information. So they using your family thinking that by them telling these people this information and it's going to the newspaper, that it's going to help them in their case with their lawsuit. Because they were suing them for $1 million at this time. And they thinking that's going to help their lawsuit because it's going to prove that they're being wrong and I'm being wrong, so on and so forth. Whole time they working out a scenario plot to make it look like I already been tried and convicted, to make it look like they justified in keeping me in prison. So the setups be vicious that they do, son. They real vicious. And I'm like, son, ain't nobody read this, ain't nobody proofread this and check their dates and make sure everything was good. And it says it was email Christy Chapman at chapmangazette.net. And I'm like, Slim, this stuff wild. How y'all do this? And it's a staff writer, Christy Chapman. I'm like, man, this is wild, man. This is the type of stuff we gotta go through and we going through out here. And so when they did that setup with the plea deal and all that type of stuff, I already knew what was going on, and they was mad at me because they thought they was gonna manipulate me into saying certain things so they could try to justify why they did what they did. So they was real hot. And when I'm going through it, I'm like, son, this ain't even right. Because when you read the female testimony, they tried to say she was the key witness to the whole scenario, but none of her stuff said what they said on the overall. It more so said something different. And she wasn't even there when Slim got shot. He ended up taking her home, and he came back. And that's why I was blown, because I'm like, Slim, hold up. How this man leave after doing what he did, come back, and he a victim, though? Because he already knew what car we was in. He knew we had to be still there. So if he feared for his life, or he was feared any type of way, why is he still in there? And then at the same time, the people he talking to when he was out in the parking lot was our peoples. So they didn't even know he was talking about us until we was coming out and they put two and two together. And then everything came out and they was like, oh, shoot, that's them. Boom, boom. And he got wild. But the whole time he out there talking about, yeah, boom, boom, he was smoking man, boom. He was talking about all this wild stuff. But then, and that's why my other man was like, Slim, won't you just see him one-on-one? So on and so forth. He was like, nah, I shoot that nigga, boom, boom. And I'm like, bro, Slim tripping, young. And he ended up getting shot. And they say it's our fault, though. We premeditatedly did. How we premeditate something we ain't even tripping off something? We wasn't even tripping off something. Slim was out there tripping. So, with all that said, I was asking the lawyer, I'm saying, why am I locked up? When I was going through the process of all this, I said, man, why am I locked up? Still locked up. You threw out the gun. You threw the gun out. They part of the illegal search and seizure was they waited 2 weeks. They didn't have nothing on me. So because they didn't really have nothing on me, and they based everything off lies, they tried to when they locked me up, they thought they was gonna get my fingerprints. And my fingerprints was gonna prove evidence, give them evidence to hold me some more. So when my fingerprints, that's why they locked me up. When the fingerprints came back, they was like, all right, boom. If we take him, if we get him from school, if he do have a weapon, even if, see, that's the catch, even if you have a weapon, you really using it for protection. Like they should say, one of the charges in indictment for having a regulated firearm under the age of 21. And I'm like, so now you gotta be a certain age to protect yourself. You feel me? You can't, at least with a handgun, a firearm. If you ain't that age, you don't have the right to protect yourself. They got some dumb, why instead of using the law like they supposed to, they play games with their laws. So, and with the laws. And they manipulate them to the fullest. So they basically was like, all right, if we could lock him up in school, They planning it out. They said if we could lock him up in school and catch him with a firearm, we can make it look like he's very dangerous and we can incriminate him even more. But if not, we could try to do something else. But so when they came and got me, they made it look like they just wanted me to question the whole time. They was trying to figure out if I had a firearm or not, whatever the case may be. So I think it dirty in my name. And then they really wanted my fingerprints though. So when they got me down to the station, I already explained in the other joint, they posted me to the Palm Park, they took me to Highsville. They snuck me in there. They tried to hurry up and put me in there and process them. When they got my fingerprints came back negative for anything. They couldn't get nothing out of my fingerprints. So they really couldn't hold me, but they kept me in there anyway. Why they kept me in there, they still ain't have nothing. 2 weeks went by, they tried to run out my house. It was like, man, we ain't got nothing. They ran out my house because everything kept coming back moot. The judges kept denying them to further my case and hold me. And they still kept manipulating, was patting my file. Like they had a case from some dude named Marquise. And he had a case where he had murders, a murder in the jump, some attempted murders, all type of stuff. And they was putting his evidence in my file, the evidence in his case in my file to hold me. And they was using other people's evidence to hold me. And I'm like, Slim. And they got caught because one time I got my information. They sent me the information with all that, with his stuff in there. And I'm like, Slim, hold up, Slim. The whole time we had the same exact case number and everything. I'm like, Slim, y'all got caught. And they tried to play it off. Slim, I got all this on my documents, my lawsuit, the post-conviction. They tried to say I didn't offer no information, no credit. I was of all allegations. Over the documents was in my post-conviction, man. The judge was on some straight bull. Racism mode too. And so I'm going through the whole process. And now they run up in my house. They waited for my father. They plotted the whole joint out. They waited for father to get off work. He was the SPO. And he had a registered firearm. As soon as he got off work, they ran down on him, took his gun off of him. Took the gun off of him, took it in my house, put it in my room, took pictures, said that was the gun that was used to commit the crime. Once they did all that, they filed it, everything. Then they tried to proceed in court. Why did they proceed in court? The ballistics came back. The gun was never used in no crime. It was never fired. That was not the gun that was used in the situation that they claim happened. So on and so forth. Once that happened, they threw the gun out. They threw the gun out but kept me locked up. Before that, they had the female, the charging document said she was the key witness to the whole scenario. They stated that, but at the same time, her testimony in her that was documented didn't say none of that. So they falsified that information to lock me up and keep me locked up. So when I asked them to subpoena her, so to come to court, they refused. They said, "Oh, she's not a key witness no more." So I'm saying, "Hold up, how is she not a key witness no more? But you got me locked up on this false information saying that she's a key witness. What's going on? So why am I still locked up? You ain't got no key witness to support this false accusation in your charging document. The dude said he don't know who shot him, but next thing you know, all of a sudden another statement pop up and say now he know who shot him. He identified me and saying he seen me in the mirror and all this other crazy stuff. Hold up, son. Oh, y'all lying. Y'all playing games." So they just kept lying and lying. I'm gonna get more into detail as why they lied and how they tried to establish a premeditated act through that. Now, mind you, we being locked up, treated like trash, all type of stuff, getting wild out by the government, state agents, all that stuff. Lied on, all that. We ain't even do nothing wrong. When Slim got hit in any other situation like that, when Slim got hit, anybody in the streets could wholeheartedly admit that when somebody do something like that, Slim, most of the time they get hit immediately. When Slim went to go in and jump in the car, he would have got hit immediately. When Slim jumped in the car to grab the gun or even grab it, he would have got hit immediately. When he hit my man with the gun, he would have got hit immediately. Me being me, trying to, and I'm glad the situation happened that way because it gives us the power to prove that everybody in the streets ain't just no crazy, wild individuals. And when they do what they do, sometimes it's legitimately an act of defense. Sometimes, in most cases, and sometimes some people just stupid. Some people really out of order because sometimes you don't need a gun for everything. Sometimes guns make things worse. Situations worse. And just because you're angry don't mean you got to use a gun or shoot somebody. You feel me? Sometimes it can be handled in a different manner. You feel me? Even you try to fight, it ain't always necessary to fight. You feel me? So I'm not giving excuses to none of that. But what I'm saying from a street level, Slim would have been hit. Me being the individual I am and trying to oversee and provide insight to every situation and speak life into the situation to get Slim to see that he tripping. I tried every angle to get Slim to understand Slim, chill out, because we're not out here playing. And he didn't get it. And then he found out we not out here playing. You feel me? And it wasn't our fault. It wasn't my fault. So but they handled it like we premeditated. They actually say we premeditated. How we premeditated? Something left and came back. We ain't leave and come back. They lied and said we left and came back later on. I'm gonna get down to that too. But not only that, Slim hit my man with a firearm, and he, what you call it? He didn't even get charged. My man get charged for shooting him, and they know he hit my man with a firearm. So I'm like, what type of police are y'all, man? What type of state's attorney and detectives are y'all? Who is y'all working for? Y'all working for the deceivers, son. Y'all ain't working for our people. Y'all ain't protecting us. Y'all manipulating these laws and stole these positions of power and infiltrated these positions of power to do evil. So you ain't doing good. So what you call it? Because like when I asked the lawyer, I said, why am I locked up? Later on, I said, why am I locked up? She said the state could, I said, that man ain't pressing charges against me. Why I'm locked up? She said, oh, the state could pick up anything involving a handgun. I said, so why he ain't locked up? She said, don't you think he been through enough? Been through enough. Slim, the man pulled out a pistol for no reason. He was irate for no reason. Jumped out there for no reason. Just because he felt some type of way, he wanted to make himself feel tough or bigger. You know? And then when he get hit, you saying he a victim. Hold up. That don't even sound right. We ain't premeditate nothing. What are you talking about? So the junk is wild as a mug, man. This is the type of stuff we going through in our communities, man. We're being called criminals, and we ain't even committing criminal acts. Feel me? They lying on us and making us out to be criminals, and we ain't doing none of that. So I'm going through all this stuff, and like I said, I ain't never hold no grudge against Slim or none of that, because I started peeping everything. I started seeing how they was using testimonies to make me hate Slim. They was trying to stir me up. They was trying to, it's a psychological weapon that they use against us to make us hate each other, hate ourselves, hate our situations, all that. And I saw how they was trying to make me angry and irate and lash out, so they could use that as a weapon against me to be like, yeah, this is the type of people we have. This is why we need to keep these people locked up. The whole time you ain't like this because you a criminal, or you how should I say, violent. You like this because you can't believe that you're being treated this way. You feel me? You confused, you're angry, all that type of stuff. That's why. So it was wild, man. So I ain't even holding it against Slim. I was like, you know, because I'm like, Slim, I don't know what's going through his mind now. Did he understand the situation? Did he understand how serious it was? Why it's still serious? Could he understand that we ain't even try to carry it that way and it went that way for a whole nother reason and all that other type of stuff? So I'm like, man, it is what it is. I'm not gonna think too hard on it, but I'm hoping the best, because it ain't cool trying to take people's life. You feel me? Take a life is a precious thing. So when you playing with somebody's life, or you trying to take somebody's life, Slim, it's more to all that, man. That's a whole generation. That's somebody that could come up with a cure to something. It could have been a person that saved someone in your family later on in life. You feel me? Or help your family or something, or somebody you care about, or somebody else will help thousands of people. You never know. So taking that person's life is serious. You feel me? So I'm looking at it like, Slim, you treating us like we vicious or something, and we not. So it was like a real vicious situation, man. You going through all this stuff, you taking in all this information, all this negative energy, all these plots, all this strategizing against you, man. It's not a joke. And so when I was going through all that, it was just like, man, how was we locked up and Slim out there chilling, living his best life? How was I'm getting all this time on false information, and all these police officers, all the state's attorneys, judges, all this living their best life, setting us up? You know, how am I suing the state of Maryland, and then they acting like, oh, well, we gonna help set you up because you suing us, but you could have collected that money from all the officers we sued. All the officers I sued, the police department, the state's attorney, all of them who cooperated in that bullcrap, supposed to have money taken out of their accounts, personal accounts, all that, because they profited from it. They profited from incriminating us illegally and lying on us. All that type of stuff, doing their job the wrong way instead of the right way. And they profited from it. And they got big savings and all that. And they living their best life while we out here struggling, you feel me? In there, in prison struggling, and come home, gotta work hard and struggle again, you feel me? So I'm like, how is this a functioning system? How is this the way life supposed to be? It's not. You know, they lying to us. So going through all that, man, it was vicious, man. It was like, man, the howl button just kept popping up. Man, I'm like, man, I know things different. I know I done said when I was younger, I need I want to help my people and all that type of stuff.